G'day there guys, it's Marky here, once again losing faith in humanity by reading Reddit stories. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then stick around for this first story because I just can't. I, 18 female, walked in on my mum teasing my dad while wearing one of my dresses. It sounds like something out of one of those really bad Netflix movies, but it's unfortunately, for me, true. I was over at a friend's house for most of the day yesterday, and I wasn't supposed to be coming home until later in the evening. This is super common for me right now, as my friend has a pool and stuff, so I've been at her house a lot since school ended a few weeks ago. Mid-afternoon, we decided to go and just drive around. We then wanted to go shopping. I didn't bring my money with me, as I keep my savings in cash in this little jar so I don't spend it so impulsively. We decided to go by my house to grab some cash on the way to the mall. When we got there, my friend waited in the car because I was only going to be a couple of minutes. When I walked into my house though, my parents were on the couch. Now, I don't want to be too overly graphic about what was going on, but my mum was on my dad's lap teasing him, and it was very clear that they were about to have sex. They both froze when they saw me. What are you doing, step-parents? Which is to be totally expected because they didn't plan on being interrupted at all. I was frozen too. Then after a couple of seconds, I realized my mom was literally wearing one of my favorite dresses. Like, I wear it all the time. Not even like it's really revealing or anything, it's just a normal summer dress. We were all looking at each other in shock for a few seconds before my mom just said, "I'm so sorry, sweetie." I ran back out of the house and was crying by the time I made it to my friend's car. I started explaining to her what I had just seen, and she was calming me down, but then my mother came out of the house after me, literally still wearing my dress. What the fuck? I told my friend to drive away before she got to the car, and we went back to her house. We didn't give her parents any details about what happened, just that I had some family drama. I've been friends with her since way back, so they told me that I can sleep at their house for a couple of days until I figure things out. I barely slept last night at all. Every time I close my eyes, it's like I see it in my head. My mum's called me a bunch of times, but I only texted her back to let her know where I am, and I told her that I need time before I am ready to talk to them. She replied again, apologizing, and wants me to come home today to talk to them. I don't think I can do that yet. Even typing this out, I've started shaking with nerves about it. What do I do now? I've never felt unsafe in my house before at all, but I also don't know if I'm comfortable being around my parents now that I know that they are literally pretending that she is me. I am so grossed out, and I think I want to burn every piece of clothing I've ever owned. Edit, I really didn't want to write anything erotic about my parents on here, but since it's been suggested that they might not have been about to have sex a couple of times over messages and stuff, here goes. The top portion of the dress was pulled down, and they were doing stuff. If they weren't about to have sex, they were at least being sexual. Edit 2, I'm not upset at all that my parents were having sex, it's the fact that they were about to have sex while my mom was wearing one of my favorite dresses. She and I never share clothes, and I've been trying to rationalize this some other way, but I don't see why she would have gone into my room and gotten that dress unless it was for what I interrupted them doing. You can see why I said I'm losing my faith in humanity here. I wasn't ready for this story today. Oh my god. The question they want answered is, what do I do now? Lie down. Try not to cry. Cry a lot. I don't know. I don't have the answer to this one. I'm very uncomfortable, but I'm also very curious how you figure this situation out, that's for sure. Now in the comments, I would probably think about finding a new dress. And OP replies, "Oh, that dress is going in a fire if I ever see it again." My mum did some weird stuff like this too. Can confirm burning said blanket made me feel better. I feel for you. It's creepy and a huge boundary has been crossed. I'm 28 now and am still weird about people touching my bedding or clothing. I just cannot. I have a 28-year-old daughter and the thought of violating her privacy makes me feel sick. So many levels of wrong I can't even count. I can't imagine this level of betrayal ever being fully forgiven. I am so sorry that you were let down by the person who should have been your greatest protector. I really wish I hadn't read this. Touché. Yup. Especially since I've seen a lot of recent posts of mums handing down their clothes and bikinis to their daughters, and the dads not liking it because obviously they'd seen it on their wife all the time, and it's just weird. Not necessarily pervy in my opinion, just really freaking weird. See, those stories are good because the father is uncomfortable, especially the bikini one, since OP knew that was a bikini that he and she thought she was sexy in. Like, I don't know why she even thought to give that to her daughter. This one, however, is like those, but the opposite. Ah yes, a tutorial on how to get irreversible trauma in less than 30 seconds. These comments are making me feel crazy, like, obviously it's not about the act of your parents having sex, it's the fact that your mum was wearing your clothes. And of course, that is wildly inappropriate. The most innocent reason is that your mum wanted to wear a cute sundress for sexy times, but to that I say, oh my god, get your own goddamn dress, not your teenage daughter's. Completely disrespectful and gross. I'm sorry, OP. You're totally valid for feeling gross about this, so take time to prepare yourself for the conversation it will result in, and make sure you set up a support plan in advance in case it's ongoing or more of an issue than you thought. Good luck. And now, on to the update. Alright, I promised to give an update on my situation, and honestly, I feel like writing things has been pretty helpful to me, so here goes. Several people on my initial post advised that I should speak with a therapist before seeing or speaking with either of my parents. I called one that I had seen a few times in the past, and she was able to book me in for an emergency session, and she really helped me through what I saw, as well as my worries, and constructing a list of questions to ask my mum when I spoke with her. I met with my mother over the weekend. We met at this park near our house in the afternoon, and sat away from everyone. My friend who I'm staying with and her boyfriend went with me for moral support, but they hung back and let me talk to my mother alone. I'm not going to go through our entire conversation because we talked for over an hour, but it was pretty much what I had feared. She was role-playing as me when I walked in on her and Dad. She wouldn't confirm how long that it had been going on for, but gave me a list of several pieces of my clothing, 3 dresses, and then 2 of my sleep sets, which she had previously borrowed. She claimed they were all cleaned thoroughly before returning them, and I had no reason to believe that she wouldn't have cleaned them. But I'm never going to wear any of those things again regardless. It was probably stupid of me, but I asked which one of them came up with the idea for her to roleplay as me. No, don't ask that question, that's just terrible, that's a bad idea. According to her, it was her own idea. I still don't feel comfortable seeing or talking to my dad, and he hasn't reached out since I walked in on them either, so I guess he isn't comfortable talking to me about it either. My dad was at work when I spoke with her. I made sure of that because I wanted to be able to go by the house and get a few more of my things. She let me go there alone with my friends and get the things I needed before going back to her place. I'm still working on where I go from here. I ended up having to fully explain the situation to my friends' parents. They were both extremely understanding and willing to let me rent their spare bedroom for a few months while I figure something else out. I'm working on getting more hours at work too. So yeah, that's pretty much all that happened. I doubt that I'll update beyond this, but I am sincerely thankful to everybody who reached out and tried to help me. And now in the comments, I think my soul just threw up a bit. This is the worst scenario I could think of reading your original post, and I only have well wishes for you, and that I hope that you'll go on to heal from this, far away from these people. I can't with this story. It was worse than I thought going into this. It was the mum. The mum wanted to do it. The mum got the dad into it, and then they got walked in on. Oh, pain. I'd go no contact for so long. So very long. You're not seeing me for the next century. Goodbye, parents. What in God's name? Honestly, I feel worse about this story than the slug one. You guys tried to get me with that story. This is way worse than that story to me. Anyway, more comments. Effing disgusting parents. Literal and true creeps. People like these need to be kept away from children. To think they watched their child grow up and made her into a freaking fetish makes me want to vomit. I don't even know OP, and I feel so violated and disgusted on her behalf. Nasty, sick pedos. Even if the mother is a creep who suggested it, the father went along with it too. They are both deranged and depraved. I can bet she's not giving you an appropriate timeline because it's been going on since you were a minor. Yuck. Oh my god. I am so sorry that this is happening to you. I'm also very glad that your friend's parents are letting you stay for now. I hope you continue with therapy because this is a very hard reality to swallow and a tough situation to be in. Please, if you ever consider re-establishing continued contact with your parents, make it a necessity that they need to have been in therapy for their behavior for at least several months. Some kinks are just too harmful to be left in the secrecy of the bedroom, especially since this one is out in the open and sheds a completely different and sick light on both of your parents' relationship with you. If possible, you should only talk to your parents in a safe environment with others around, preferably a family therapist. But if I were in your position, I would need a lot of distance and security, as in getting financially independent, etc. from them, for myself, for a long time, before I could even think about re-establishing contact. Best of luck in healing. I hope you're doing as okay as you can during this situation. You don't have to answer if you're not comfortable, but I'm curious as to the rest of your conversation. Did she even acknowledge how messed up what she was doing was, or why they would ever want to roleplay as you? Did she even apologize? I am so sorry this happened to you, OP. Nobody deserves to be sexualized by their own parents. And OP replies, she apologized that I walked in on it. She kept telling me that it wasn't something they had ever planned on anyone else knowing, as though she would ever tell someone that under normal circumstances. She never specifically said she was sorry for taking my clothes or pretending to be me though. It was always framed as, sorry you saw that, and sorry you feel that way. I didn't feel like there was a lot of remorse on her end. You're right. That's not a real apology, and it's clear she still doesn't know how seriously screwed up their behavior was. I think we're done with that story for now. I think we can let that one rest. Moving on, our next story is titled, I'm planning to elope because my parents are trying to make me agree to letting my sister's boyfriend propose to my sister at my wedding. Maybe this is the wrong place, but I'm going to explode with rage and disappointment at my family. My baby sister is the golden child, or maybe that's unfair to say. She survived cancer when she was a child. It was the darkest period of my parents' life. I don't remember much of it because my parents shielded me from the horrific truth. I knew she was sick, and I remember all my childhood spent in hospitals, but never did I know that my sister almost died until many, many years later. I was 12 and she was 10. After she beat her sickness, she became the obvious favorite in the house. She got everything she wanted, and sometimes it was at my expense. I resented that, but I always heard that I was a naughty girl for being jealous of my hero sister. My sister grew up to be a brat. Now 20 years later, she is still bratty, although we get along a lot better than we were when we were teenagers and young adults. My wedding is in July. Neither my fiancé nor I have the money for a big wedding. We settled for a small wedding of 30 people and my fiancé's grandparents who have a beautiful house with a lake view. My parents, when they heard this, said no way and offered to pay for a bigger wedding at a better venue. We didn't agree at first, but later we did not want to disappoint them. It seemed like it was important to them. Last week, my mum invited me over. My dad, mum, and my sister's boyfriend asked me what I would think if my sister's boyfriend proposed to my sister during the wedding, so it becomes an engagement party as well as a wedding. My mum has seen reels on Instagram about people proposing to maids of honors and bridesmaids and thought it was cute. My sister is my maid of honor. I said no, that's ridiculous, and I laughed. My mum was livid. She told me that I was selfish and ungrateful, and I accused her of favoritism. I told her that I always thought that it was odd that you'd pay for my wedding, but now I know the reason why. She started crying and kicked me out of the house. Later, both she and my future brother-in-law sent me texts warning me from exposing their plan to my sister. My fiance was disappointed, but I'm not sure what we could do. My parents have spent almost $30,000 and it's too late to cancel. My mother called me today to plan the proposal and I begged her not to ruin my day. She told me since she was paying, she can make requests and that I should let go of my jealousy and resentment towards my sister because she is innocent in all of this. But the thing is, this day will be about my sister. I told my fiancé to ask his grandparents if they're still willing to host my wedding. If they are, I will just revert to our original plan. If not, I will just elope. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to tell my family and cancel the wedding, or just let them have their grand proposal party. None of my family is invited to my wedding, including my sister. Thank you for listening. Call it off. Call it off. Ruin their plans. What selfish pricks, the lot of them. I see another group of people I can toss right into the basket of assholes. If it is true that your sister is innocent in all of this, then I feel sorry that she's about to be caught up in a storm of drama. It won't be her fault, it will be your family's fault for dumping this on you, and then blackmailing you and trying to force you into doing it because they spent $30,000 on your wedding. If you can't get the grandparents to set you up at their place with a wedding, I'd drop this one like a hot potato, like you're planning to. I fully support it, OP. And now in the comments, uninvite them. Go do the wedding at the grandparents' house and let your sister and parents have a $30,000 engagement party. It's great that your sister survived cancer, but your parents put you on a back burner for your whole life. Now it's your turn to enjoy it. Do what's best for you. Definitely this. I would elope or do the wedding at the grandparents. Why do so many people want to ruin other people's special moments? What the heck is wrong with people? Agree with this comment. Don't let your parents be the reason you can't make that day about just the two of you. At some point, if this were my family, I would likely say to my mum that if the $30,000 was going to be controlled by her, even in including things her daughter, the bride, wasn't okay with, then it wasn't a gift, but a manipulation, and should have come with those stipulations up front so I could have made an informed decision about whether or not to accept the money. But stating those stipulations after the money had already been used is disrespectful and not how a gift should be given. Info. Would you tell your parents about their missing your real wedding at some point? And weird random thought. I wonder what would happen if during her sister's wedding, if OP announced a pregnancy or a gender reveal. I'd be very curious if their mum would suddenly see how it's stealing the other person's thunder. I'd elope, but don't cancel the venue and show up in jeans and a t-shirt for the engagement party. And OP replies, I like this. And you should bring photocopies of your wedding/elopement that they all weren't invited to, just to add more salt and hilarity with only me and my husband had such a wonderful ceremony and reception without any of you. It was beautiful and lovely. That's messed up, and you're right, this was all pre-planned. If you do have it at a fiancé's grandparents, will you invite your family? It seems they can't stand for you to be the center of attention, even on a day that you should be. And OP replies, I won't. I am done. Good for you, because this is crazy. You can't just have one day for yourself? Wow. And now onto the update. I've eloped a week earlier because my parents and my sister's boyfriend were planning a surprise engagement on my wedding day. I really want to thank everyone that showed me support. I'm now happily married and in Como, Italy for my honeymoon. I've tried to stay away from my phone, but I was so curious to see my family's reaction to my elopement a week earlier than planned. It was really ugly. I must start with saying that I really tried my best to negotiate and compromise with my family and truly explain that this was hurting me. I have nothing against my sister, and to be honest, nothing against her getting engaged on my wedding, but the principle that it was made very clear to me that I had absolutely no opinion or say in what was going to happen on what was supposed to be my special day was where I drew the line. It wasn't a wish or a request, it was a matter of fact, and it was decided. So I told my mom that I am not going to attend the party that she has paid for. Maybe they should just make it an engagement party instead. She got very upset and told me that the engagement was supposed to be a surprise. I told her that I was just giving her the heads up since she's about to lose an insane amount of money. She didn't take me seriously, like I wasn't going to cancel my wedding because of a trivial thing. What she didn't know is that I've already made plans to get married a week earlier at my grandparents-in-law. We invited our closest friends, and some even had to book earlier flights and take more vacation days, and for these people, I was extra grateful. What was left was my sister. I had been back and forth arguing and negotiating with my parents and future brother-in-law. I decided that even if this would ruin her surprise, I had to tell her, so I did. She wasn't really happy with my mom, but she was more upset that I ruined her surprise, and she, as I expected, thought I could have just sucked it up and gone with the flow. I didn't tell her about my new wedding date. The wedding was dreamlike. In the back of my head, I was hurt the people who loved me the most weren't there, but I pushed that thought away and refused to let it ruin our day. My husband was amazing. He promised to make me happy for the rest of my life and to make up for every heartbreak I've experienced in my past. My in-laws surprised us with upgrading our honeymoon to a 5-star hotel. I had my friends and some cousins and my favorite aunt attending. We asked them not to livestream or upload any pictures to social media until we are already on our honeymoon. We also asked them not to engage in any altercations online with my family. Today, my mum made a long Facebook, Twitter, Instagram posts bashing me and my husband, calling me ungrateful and disrespectful with pictures of my wedding, telling people that I have cost her a huge chunk of her savings and she is now demanding compensation. Her Facebook post was shared about 200 times and the majority of my extended family is angry with me. She never once tried to contact me. I really thought she would bombard my phone. Instead, both her and my dad announced that they are cutting me off and expecting compensation. Future brother-in-law commented that I ruined his surprise, and my sister made a post about being tired of jealous bears and haters. None of the people we invited had commented, even though some of them were directly attacked, so they respected our wishes. I don't know if they're going to go ahead and turn the wedding into an engagement party now. I really hope they do, so the money isn't wasted. It's on Saturday. I'm sorry for the update going too long, but with the amount of people asking for an update, I hope this was what you wanted. And as is a classic on these eloquent and well-written posts, P.S. English isn't my native language, and it's too long of a post to proofread, especially when it's written on my iPhone. And now in the comments, so your mom tried to ruin your wedding by making it all about your sister's engagement and expects to be paid for it. Baby, congratulations on your wedding and your new peace and quiet. Please announce your pregnancy at her wedding. Even if you are not pregnant, get up as if you're going to make a speech and announce that you are pregnant. And OP replies, ha, that is if I was invited to the wedding at all. Maybe you should just post your whole story from here to a Facebook post and log off. I don't think they're going to listen to you, so take a cathartic experience writing it all down and let the world see it. I'm sure their entitled behavior won't like the truth. Congrats! Are you going to make a Facebook post telling your side of the story? And OP replies, thank you. No, I'm not going to. I'm glad that I got an outlet for my frustration here instead. Generally, I'm all for taking the high road and not airing family business in public. However, it is already out there. You really should consider posting the full and accurate story of what happened. The only reason your parents paid for your wedding was to turn it into an event for your sister. You have spent your life letting them set the narrative and push you aside. You need to post the whole story, including how you were treated as a child, to explain why you were cutting contact for the time being. You wanted one day, your wedding day, to be about you and your husband. They couldn't let you have that. They had to make it about your sister because everything has to be about your sister as far as they are concerned. When they informed you that they were doing it anyway because they were paying, you simply went back to the original plan. You might be surprised at how many people in your extended family, upon hearing the whole story, would back you. All they have now is the story your parents are putting out. Give them the truth. The problem with taking the high road is that you end up becoming a doormat to people like your parents. They count on you shying away from drama to push their narrative and get away with their crap. The best way to put a stop to it is to stop letting them have that control. Congrats on your wedding. quote, childhood cancer fund, in our names like what we have requested as a wedding gift from our guests. Even the gifts were about the sister's cancer survival? This really jumped out to me too. OP is still in the backseat mode, even for her own wedding. She recognizes that her brat sister is the golden child, but she's still not yet out of the groove of putting her sister's status as the survivor above her own needs. She's never ever going to be important to her bio family. It's great that she married into a better family and that she has true friends who adjusted their schedules for her special day. I read that as a desperate attempt to appease her parents and or get their approval, which they probably didn't even care about because sister is no longer a child with cancer, so why wouldn't you have your guests donate the money directly to OP's sister? Surviving a deadly disease does not make you a hero, unpopular opinion as it is. The fact that your parents favored the child with cancer, instead of realizing that they could just as easily lose either child to some random-ass bullcrap, is appalling to me. This, surviving a deadly disease makes you a survivor. The parents are such assholes. This all could have been avoided if they hadn't started hero worshipping the younger sister. A year or two after finally beating the cancer seems okay, but a lifetime of that crap just makes an entitled brat. And that is where I'm going to leave you guys for today. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down below. Was it worse than the slug story? I'll let you decide. Bye.